Hello, now should be good. So, thank you, Ethan SSL, for the following. I don't know how good you can hear me, but should be fine, I think. Yeah, should be fine. So, I'm gonna wait just a little bit to catch up with some. Um, yeah. So we're gonna create a brand new ASP.NET Core app, and a model view controller. So I'm gonna start with that one. We will create a website for job adverts. So you can add a new job advert and then you can edit it and delete it. You will see how far we can get today. So just waiting a little bit to catch up with some people. Might come somebody. So let me add here some. So we are live now. So managed to resolve the problem with the video driver. So we are live now. Comment. Very good. So very good. So hello to everybody. So let us start a new application over here. When you create a new project, you choose the MVC pattern. So it's if you choose that one, it will get you. It will provide you with some with some helpful settings that are already done. So we choose that one. So we click next, and we call it job advert. Um, I should change this one to just put it over here. Solution name, we can name it the same. Place solution and project in the same directory. That's perfectly fine. So you don't have to add a solution name. It will be the same as the. We can just do like a job advert, and then we can say here is the job advert app, and this one it's just a job advert. That's the app now, and that's just a main application. Could do like that. So we hit next. We choose now .NET 6. .NET 5 is out of support. We will choose a individual accounts. Why? Because we will be provided with entity framework, and also the authorization and everything. It makes everything much easier. So just choose it, even if you don't, for the moment, you don't want to use any of the logins or any of the security for any security reasons. So click next and create. So that's the application now here. So this job advert main overview. So we are on an empty. It's creating, yeah, we done. Now we are on a blank project. So to check on the right over here, we have the root access where it's our bootstrap, and also here is the Zeit.js for JavaScript. We won't use any JavaScript at the moment for the beginning. We will let it be. The next, here is the controller, and we have here our home control. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Let's say 130 might be better. Let's make it bigger. Let's make 150. So I hope that the size it's fine of the screen. If not, scream, say something. So that's the home controller. Inside here you will place all your controllers. We have here our data. It means that inside here we will put our application DB context. What does that? So um, this this class over here, it will represent the connection to your database. I will go in deep a bit later when we will get that far to use the application DB context. Here will be the migrations for our database. When we post a job, we will make it permanent, so we'll have access to later to our stuff we want to save and to our job postings. So that's one. Um, we will need this one and this one. We will delete them just to make sure we can to show you how to create new ones. So inside the models we have one model, and that's the error few model. We will create a bunch of new models, but we will start with that after the explanation here. And here are our views. We have here an index view. It's CHHTML, so it's some kind of a razor page. It means you can mix C# with HTML, and here we use Bootstrap. It should be Bootstrap 5. We can check that by going into the library, into the Bootstrap, and then in CSS, and here is Bootstrap. We can open that and open that, and here you see it's Bootstrap 5. So we will use Bootstrap 5 for that. I will provide a link to the documentation. It's very easily to so if you know it, it's easy, but it's not that hard to learn it, to get into it. So where are we next? Those are the views. This shared folder over here is made for all these files are shared all over the application. Like the layout, it should be everywhere the same one, and the login partial, that's just a partial. So I will explain partials too. What does a partial do? It's you can put a partial page. So this code I can put everywhere where I want in any view. That's why it's called partial. It has a, for example, in the layout we have here, is it here the partial? I don't think so. It should be in view imports. Nope. I will demonstrate later where. Here in home index. Where is the partial put? Because it's the here, of course it's here. Look. So 929. That's partial, and we pass inside over here the login partial, this one, and then it will just inside between these two, it will display all the code which is here inside. So that's one of that. This is our apps JSON, app settings JSON, and here's the development JSON. So the thing is, while you are in production, while you are in production, you will use the app settings.json, and while you are in development, you use this one. But if here is none, it will automatically use this one here. So the app settings JSON, not the app settings.development.json. So for now, we will just leave it like it is here. Job-advertisement db like this. So, and save. And now, let us go to the last file, the very important one. So that's the program.cs, and it's in .NET 5 there were two files. It was the program.cs, which had contained only this one, only line 17, a bit more detailed explained over there, but it just made the build. And now we have everything together. Here we will register some services, but that's for later today, but not for right now. So I just wanted to explain here. Here is our application DB context already registered. This means we can use it. It's here up registered. And you see it's using our SQL connection, and that's the connection string over from up here. It goes build a get configuration string. It gets the default connection from the app settings. It goes inside. So with the builder configuration get configuration string, it gets our configuration string from here, and it says, hey, I want default connection, this one, and then it gets all the text inside here and saves in the connection string variable over here. And then we use it here as SQL server. So that's how we get over here. We can add let's say a second connection string. Let's name it second, and let's say connection strings. Oh wait, let's say it's like this. Oop. Just a second. So like this. Copy that. And then we can delete this. So now I have it right. And now, because it's the same, let's say database 2, because you can have as many as databases you need. And you can just say here, connection string, and instead of default connection, let's duplicate that, connection string 2, and say here I want to have, and here you can say you can have second connection, and now you can edit here, and you can have a second connection. You can use also both connection at the same times, so that's all possible. But now let us stick like it previously was, and just have one for the beginning. I was just wanted to show you that how you can get something out of here. Also you can you can write any secrets over here and then pass them and then access them through the program.cs. So let's save that and close this and this one. So we have now here a folder models, and in the folder models we should add we should add something like let's say we want to add a model like a job posting. So add new class and say we need a class it calls a job because it's just one job. So it's good, yeah. And so this job, so this is a model. The in MVC, a model is exactly the mirror of the database. It means our job class, it will have no logic, no nothing. It will be just like you will make a table. So the class job itself, it's the table, and our properties will be the columns in our table. So we have an int, and this int will be an ID. So, because we will need to have an ID. Then we will need, let's say, a job, a string, and this one should be a title. We need a job title. Then we will need another one, and this will be a description. And we can call it job description, and here job title. So, and that's because so string.empty string.empty. So what do we need in a job this except of the title and the description? Let's say we want a publish day, so public, and we have a date time, and this date time is the published, let's say published, it's like this, okay. So shortcuts, peer prop, it's for it's the shortcut for properties, and tab twice. So let's make it again. So prop tab, and then we have here what do we need publishing. So let's say we have a job title, description, and a publish day. We need a category. So how we do that? Category, and not that, category, and now here category, category. So now we don't have here the class category. We can you can put a cursor inside the line over here. At best in the word it's red, and then control dot. We'll open that, and we can generate here. You see generate type category formatting. We can first format, and then we can say we need it doesn't do that now for now. Here generate type category, and we can say we need to generate a category in a new file, and we do that, and now we have it. You see over here already it did come a new class category. We can take this one and say, hey, for the first we need the ID, because we need an ID to have it auto increment, and then we need the category name. So we make prop string, and then we have a category name. So let's say category name like this. So that's just for the beginning. We will put more stuff in there too, so we can have for example, a date when the category was created or not. We will decide later. So here is let's say that not nullable. How to fix this? Declare nullable. So is it nullable or is it not nullable? That means if we make it nullable, also in our database will be nullable. It means we can create a job posting without adding a category. Do we want that made? Not yes or no? I say no, because we should not be able. We need to add a category before to any job posting. So uh, what do we need more for a job posting? We have a publish day, we have a job title, a job description, and a category. Is there more we want to add? At the moment, no, we can say it's fine. So what has a category? It has an ID and a string. So it looks pretty okay. It has a category name. At the moment, do we want a category description? Let's put one. We don't need, but look, it comes from alone. It says from alone here. So let us description. Let us as a name. Let us change that. Just name, and also here just description, and here just title. We don't need that. So now we have our models. We have two models, but how does the database do know how to use all this? So before getting there, we need um, to tell the database, hey, listen, do something with um, those models. So in our application DB context over here, we have some kind to tell the database which are our models which we use to insert into the database. So over here we need to set databases. So like this. Give me a second. It's called prop, yes, and it's db set. And now we can put in here, let's put first the category, not this one. So control dot, using job advert dot main dot models, and here we call it categories. So categories like this. And now it's equals, I think it's just set. I forgot to do that. Just a second. Let me do the prop db set, and we have here the job, and we call it jobs. Not like that, like this. So jobs. Let me check. I think without the set. How did I do that? Let me check somewhere. Oh yes. So it's like let's make like this. So and now set. Now we have it right, and that's category. Okay, that's the newer version now in .NET 6, I think. So, and same over here. Set job, look, it comes from alone. So this means now we in the application DB context we said, hey, listen, those two models are now for the database. So the database the application DB context, the database context, knows now what to do with from where to get the models. We have it now. So that's finished. So, and now we have over here migrations. Those migrations over here, it are made automatically by by the application itself when you start it. So when you create it. So here it says how to build our database. For example, this one here is it's no. Let's take a easier one, a smaller one. So identity, user, login, identity, role, claims. Yeah. Um, here are the tables. That's the snapshot. Those are the tables. So it creates a table named ISP.net roles, and inside this table has a column and has these columns: ID, name, normalized name, and currency stamp. And it has a primary key to ASP.NET roles. So the roles, it's down here, ASP.NET user roles, you see, and it's taking, so it's making all the connections we all need. So now, how do we create our own migration? So creating our own migration is you go to View, and then Other Windows, and then Package Manager Console. And then you open the Package Manager Console, wait a second. And then you say, first of all, check over here. If you have more than just one project inside your application, just choose the default project over here, so you can see um, you're on the right project. So now we have to add migration. Those are reserved keywords. So and then our first migration here, it's called create identity schema. So you can call it, so this adds dash migration is a reserved keyword, and then space, and that's the name of the migration we will make. So how we call it? Let's call it models for the beginning. So hit enter and wait for the build to start and to finish, of course. So just needed some water. So what's next? Automatically we'll open this this file over here, which will say, hey, this partial class models, we called it models, it's a migration, and we just create this table for us. So we created now two tables, so 1 and 2. It means it says, hey, this table with this name and this description. When you look over here, it took us envar char maximum because it's a string, and this one too, but a title should be no longer than, let's say, 100 characters. So we should have limited that to 100 characters, but that's data annotation. We will do it right now. So, and it made over here, you see our job posting class over here, our job class over here has a category as a property, which is a column. That's this one here, and it says, hey, this is the primary key to this table down here. So you see it's made alone the connection for us. We didn't have to do anything for that. So normally when you create that, just take a look over it just to be sure it's everything fine. But it's not that fine for us now because we have everywhere n varchar maximum. It means a description. You can have 4,000 characters in it, or however big you want it, and you should limit to what you need because it will reserve in the database for each column, for each entry you do, that much space that you assigned. So it, we assign now way too much space to the database for what we need. So what do we do now is we can say, hey, remove this migration, and this remove migration can only be done if you didn't update the database. So the database now it doesn't exist. So if we check SQL Server Object Explorer, yeah, here is here is my local data, here are my databases. So I have many databases here, but none of this project. So that means we can remove the migration. To remove this file over here, you see, here is the file. Just 1 second, I'm getting a phone call. Sorry, telephone. So again, we don't we made a mistake with this with this migration, and now we want to remove it. For that, remove dash migration. So, and now the file over here will be deleted by itself. You see, it's gone. So, and also that's gone. Yeah. So, and now we need to add um, things here so that we can annotations. They are called data annotations. So the migration will then know what's how big should be a column and what to do. So let's start with the category. Here we have now our first data annotation. Let's say the name is required. Required. So required, like this. And that's the using system component model data annotation. How do I get to this? I will repeat me myself now for a few times. It's control dot. You open this little menu here, the helping menu and the context menu, and then you can get this one. So let's say the name is required, but not the description. So we have that. We also can put error message over here and say error. It's like this error message. It's down here, and we can say name. Let's do it like this. Where are you? Here, 0, and it means the name. You took from the public string name, it's the name in 0, and you say, hey, name is required. So then now we want another annotation, and this annotation should be like max length. You see, it already giving me something 255, but let's say 255 for a category name is too much, and let's say we want just 50 because we don't want to have it that long. And now error message and say if it exceeds the length, we can say you can take this one, no, like this. name too long. No, error message. You exceeded your named is too long. It's too long, like this. So, what kind of annotation can we take again? We can add another annotation, and it's called display. And this one is like has a name, and we can say category name. So every time we display this category, and it will take the name and we display category name and instead of just name. That's why we could make over here category name, and it will be displaying category name from above over here, and also here category description, and we could just display description, but it's fine like it is right now. So what do we need over here for the description? We can copy all of that here, but we don't need the required, and the display name, it's just description, so it's like that. And the max length of the description, let's say we want to have it at 450 characters, because it's a small description, we don't have to write books. So now we can save this one, and we can go over here. Before I forgot, in .NET below 5, we could have right over here key, and it knows that's the key for the column. But if it's just public int ID, then it automatically will know that it is ID. That is the key, so we don't have to do that. So let's go over here and add our first annotation. The first one is required, and we will add error message, let us add first annotations like this, and then error message, you see, is required. So, and now the job title has a max length. Let's say 255. It's way too long. Let's say 100. And then we also have an error message if it's too long. Message too long. Title too long. And then a display name, title, it's fine. So you don't have to add display if title, it's fine, but I don't want to have it just title when I add that, because I would like to have it like following, and I will say job title like this, and I somehow like that. So copy all this. The description for a job title, it's required too. The length of a description, let's make it 500, and then we'd say here description too long, and then it's not, and that's job description. So, and here it's a date time. You can add now a display name, so we can say name. So, and we will call it job published, job was published on, like this. And the category, so for this one we don't need any annotations, because it will take these ones from the category itself, so that will make it easier. Let me modify here my post, and let's write here live now. So good, might be fine. Okay, so what's next? Now, because we have our data annotations, we can add now we can add the migration again. Let's call it models. Yeah, models. That's fine. So, edit, and now it's created. So, to check what we have done over here, we put it right here so I can see better. And now, down here, we created. Look, it's not nvarchar max anymore. It's exactly the length we have it, and it's not nullable. So they have to be there has to be something in it because we've put required in it. So the publish time, where is that's the other one here. Here, create jobs. It's false, nullable false, nullable false. A date time, it can never be null, so it's false too. And the category ID, it's also it's not nullable because we have to specify to be nullable. So it looks quite okay now. But still, we created the migration, but if we check over here, still no database. Why? Because we just created a migration, this file over here where we check. We created only this one. To create the database, we need now to update database. So just hit enter, and now it has created our database without any errors. So let us check what happened here just for a bit. So over here we started update database. We've been through, it says build started and build succeed. Okay, it takes the entity framework. It's creating now the database, and it's transforming all this code which from the migration into executable SQL. And how you see, it's all over here. So it's all done over here. You see, everything fine, done. Normally, if there's an error, you see it right away. So let's go back. So if we check now again our SQL server, let's refresh it, and there he is, our ISP job advert DB. If we check over here, it's our isp.job job advert DB. Very good. So let us try to start now our application to see if there's any errors. Look, this project is going to use a set. Don't ask me again. Yes. Yeah. And now it's starting. And we have the first problem. So let's see, it's unable to configure HTTPS endpoint. Okay, that's a new error. I actually don't know it. So let us stop and see. Try again. Error default. So do we have to register something? Nope, it should be everything fine. So let's try again. System invalid operator, unable to configure HTTPS endpoint. Really? I never had that somehow. Let us try. It's in program here. Let me check. So, why is that? Why is that? Configure HTTPS endpoint. Somewhere I have that. Oh, might be this one. Okay, let's try. Oh yeah, I got it. Now we have it. So HTTPS port 443, and now like this. Now we have it. So just start. Should be fine now, hopefully. Nope, same problem. To generate the developers run.net to trust. Okay, .NET, that's in the console. So stop. View console. Terminal here. Okay, let's try again. We will try it so many times till it works. Huh? Oh, really? Stop. And now, let us clean our application. I have a shortcut for it. It's like Control BC. I've made it by myself. And now rebuild Control Shift B. It's rebuilding. Of course, it's working, but it's not starting just because of that. Yes, I don't get it. So, let's stop that. So, now let me check this again. So, let's try again. Let's try it so many times till it works. So, let us Google this. So, system invalid operation exception. It called unable to configure HTTPS endpoints. So, what do we do now? So stop that. So be right back. So now we added the fuck it. Really? So where do I run mmcx? Yes, and now I have here the certificates. Add and file. 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 Hi, Blockmeter. Hi, willkommen. Kann man mich gut hören? Ich habe da irgendwann ein Problem. Ich kann die App gerade nicht starten. Aber kommt gleich. So, Snap hinzufügen, entfernen. Jawohl. Und dann Certificates, Zertifikate, jawohl. Und dann Console zufügen, brechen, Double-Click, okay. Und dann der Open PowerShell. Eigenes Benutzerkonto. Benutzer. Oh nein. Abbrechen. Entfernen. Abbrechen. So. Probieren wir so. .NET Dev Search HTTPS Clean. Wenn Sie von ja, Demolition. Ja. Okay, und jetzt .NET Dev Search HTTPS. Und now .NET, Moment, können wir so machen. Trust. Ja. Okay. Installiert. Und jetzt probieren wir neu. Bild neu. So. Up to date. Okay. Clean. Und Bild. Succeed. Und jetzt starten. Und jetzt kommt wieder Fehler. Es kommt jedes Mal Fehler. Nein, es ist gegangen. So. Nun haben wir es hergebracht. Unsere App funktioniert dementsprechend. So. Als nächstes. Wir haben das gemacht. So, wir haben unsere Models. Wir haben unsere Migrations gemacht. Unsere Datenbank ist vorhanden. Wenn man hier schaut, Tables, Systems, Tables. Und hier haben wir unsere Categories, View Data und Jobs, View Data. Alles hier. Und da ist die Kategorie-ID und hier wird die Kategorie. So, jawohl. Sekunde, bin gleich wieder da. So, jetzt bin ich wieder da. Hi. So, sorry. So, wo sind wir stehen geblieben? Wir haben jetzt die Migration gemacht, wir haben die Datenbank erstellt. Das HTTPS-Problem haben wir auch gelöst. Jetzt funktioniert. Jetzt kann man sich, jetzt startet die Applikation. Hier ist sie. So, machen können wir jetzt nichts. So, wir haben unsere Models und wir brauchen jetzt einen neuen Folder, und zwar neu Folder. und das sind View Models. So, wir brauchen einen View Model. Dieses View Model erstellen wir so, dass wir Moment, das hier beenden. Ja, genau. So, sagen wir mal Job Posting View Model. Add Class. So. Und wir erstellen ein Job Posting View Model. So, dieses Job Posting View Model hat beinhaltet all das, was wir benötigen, damit wir einen Job posten können. So, was wäre das? Zum Beispiel, jetzt brauchen wir zuerst eine ID. Wieso brauchen wir eine ID? Weil sollten wir das enumerieren wollen, also enumerable machen, braucht es eine ID, damit es durchzählen kann. Blöd gesagt auf Deutsch. So, als nächstes brauchen wir dieses Job-Posting-Model braucht, fangen wir mit dem Job hier. Ja, genau, so hier. Mit dem an. Und zwar brauchen wir einen Job-Title. Prop String Job Title. Dann brauchen wir ein Prop String Job Description. So, dann brauchen wir einen Datetime Prop Datetime für Publishing published. So, dann was brauchen wir noch? Die Kategorie. Eigentlich bei der Kategorie ist folgendes. Wir brauchen eine Liste, die wir befüllen können, damit wir die Kategorien anzeigen können, dann eine auswählen und ja, das machen wir so. Wo ist sie denn? Wie machen wir das? So, wir haben dieses Job Posting View Model ist nur eins, aber dieses eine hat zum Anzeigen benötigt es unterschiedliche Kategorien. Also es hat zwar eine Kategorie, wie zum Beispiel Prop int und zwar Kategorie ID, aber wir benötigen auch die Liste, die wir befüllen können, damit wir in der View zeigen können, hey, welche Kategorie jetzt. So, das würde so funktionieren, Prop List of Category und das wäre die Category List. So, das heißt, wir holen uns hier in der View, zeigen wir an eine Liste aus Categories und wir suchen eine aus und dann sagen wir mal, also wenn wir die Kategorie aussuchen in der Dropdown, weisen wir die ID aus der hier diesem Int hinzu. So, und wenn wir dann im Backend das bearbeiten, holen wir uns genau diese aus der Datenbank heraus, die wir benötigen. So, jetzt habe ich es. So, Datetime published, passt, Job Description passt, Job Title passt. So, jetzt da. Haben wir alles, oder? Job Title, ja. Alles gut. Okay. Dann haben wir unser Job Posting View Model. Das ist Also mit dem können wir editieren. Mit diesem können wir, was können wir noch machen? Editieren, deleten, das passt. Okay, müsste funktionieren. So, jetzt aber, wir haben zwar alles, aber wie speichern wir das alles? Lass uns das speichern mal. Wir gehen in die Application DB Kontext. Wir sehen, wir können hier mit der Application DB Kontext an und für sich aus der Datenbank rausholen. So, erstellen wir einen Job Controller, einen neuen Controller, Add Controller, nennen wir ihn Job Controller, ein Empty Controller, er soll einfach leer sein. Und zwar nennen wir ihn Job Controller. So, wenn wir unsere Domain schreiben, dann ist /job. Dieser Name Controller muss man nicht hinzufügen, ist empfehlenswert zum Hinzufügen, dass man direkt weiß, dass es ein Controller ist, aber die Applikation entfernt ihn dann selbst, somit Job Controller hinzufügen. So, jetzt haben wir einfach nur ein Public iActionResultIndex. Das bedeutet, wenn wir auf probieren wir es. Ich zeige es euch. Es kommt ein Fehler. So, jetzt, um auf den Controller Zugriff zu haben, schreiben wir einfach Job. Und wenn wir die Index ist die Seite, wo es direkt reingeht, wenn wir keine Action Result spezifizieren. Wir haben jetzt keins spezifiziert, wir könnten einfach hier Index schreiben oder einfach nur Job. Es ist das gleiche. So, jetzt geht er da rein und sagt, hey, ich habe keine View gefunden. So, lass uns eine View erstellen für dieses Index. So, wir gehen rechte Maustaste. Das ist jetzt der schnelle Weg. Ich zeige euch auch einen anderen. Sagen wir mal, ich füge für diesen Index eine View hinzu. Ich möchte es nicht leer hinzufügen, weil ich weiß ja, was ich brauche. Ich brauche die Liste aller vorhandenen Jobs. So, dann nehme ich dieses Razor View, sage, hey, ich baue es nicht selber zusammen, sondern es erstellt mir selber eine Tabelle. Ich nehme Razor View, Add. So, und jetzt muss ich da auswählen, was ich haben möchte. So, was haben wir da? So, wir haben die Index, jawohl, das ist der View-Name. Wir wählen hier ein Template aus. Was für ein Template? So, damit wir was anzeigen können. Also es erstellt für uns entweder ein Create-Template, ein Delete-Template, ein Details-Template, ein Edit-Template oder ein leeres, aber wir wollen kein leeres, sondern wir möchten die Liste anzeigen, die Liste aller vorhandenen vorhandenen Jobpostings. Welche Model-Klasse wählen wir? Wir suchen uns hier aus einen Job-Posting View Model. Deswegen haben wir dieses View Model angezeigt. Da soll man für jeden Job aus der Datenbank, den rausholt, inklusive der Kategorie ID, soll man dafür jeweils ein Posting hinzufügen, ein Model, eine View erstellen in der Tabelle. So, und der Database Kontext, das ist die Verbindung zur Datenbank, ist dieses hier. Und dann einfach Add. So. Jetzt erstellt er Scaffolding New Item, erstellt er uns eine neue View, da ist sie, die Index View. Wenn man hier unten schaut, haben wir einen neuen Unterordner und in diesem ist der Job und diese Indexdatei. Wie ihr seht, ist hier ein Enumerable von Job Posting, deswegen benötigen wir die ID, ansonsten würde das nicht funktionieren. Wir müssten mit dem Key, also hier beim Job Title würden wir die ID Properties nicht machen, müssten wir hier Key hinzufügen als Data Annotation, damit das überhaupt funktioniert. Aber wenn wir die ID machen, ist das nicht der Fall. So, wir sind hier in der Index. Wenn wir jetzt starten, wenn wir die Applikation starten und uns diese Seite anschauen, so, Job, ist das Model, das wir durchschicken, ist leer. So, Stop. So, im Controller schicken wir kein Model zur View. Das bedeutet, er kann auch nichts anzeigen. Deswegen kommt ein Zero Reference, ein Object Zero Reference, also ein Null. So, was machen wir jetzt? Model equals new Job Posting View Model. So, und dann einfach ein leeres, und dieses leere schicken wir zur View, weil die View empfängt ein solches, und zwar es empfängt nicht einen, sondern eine Liste davon. So, jetzt haben wir es falsch gemacht. Deswegen brauchen wir eine var model list equals new list of Job Posting View Model. So, und jetzt nehmen wir diese Liste hier und passen diese durch. So, jetzt probieren wir es nochmal. Und wenn er ein Enumerable nicht zu einer Liste machen kann, erklären wir das auch noch. So, Job. So, da ist es. Das bedeutet, wir haben hier unser Jobtitel, unser Job Description, Published und Category ID. Das geht so, genau so. Sehr gut. Hier wären all unsere Jobs aufgelistet. So, die View zu bearbeiten und verschönern, das machen wir nachher. Wir können ein Partial machen mit einer Kartei. Das kommt aber alles noch. So, als nächstes. Wir haben halt nun mal hier ein leeres Model Posting. Wir könnten als nächstes zum Test einfach mal eins erstellen, war Model equals New Job Posting View Model. Und dann könnten wir hier eine Kategorie, haben wir keine, Liste nicht, Job Title, Test Title, dann Job Description, das ist die Description, und Published, sagen wir mal date, time, .now, einfach so. So, wir könnten das Punkt toString machen, und dann könnten wir sagen, warte, wie habe ich das gemacht? So, dann Doppelpunkt und sagen wir mal, wir brauchen keine Stunden, sondern wir brauchen zuerst Days, Month, Month und Year. So. Und ich glaube, was fehlt da? Das ist falsch. So. Und das passt auch nicht, weil ich glaube, mein C fehlt, oder? Ja, ich glaube, mein C fehlt. Muss mal kurz gucken, ob ich es richtig gemacht habe. Den Schmalzell. Wo habe ich das jetzt? Hi. So I think it's just like this. Okay, let us try just like that for the beginning. Datetime now dot to string. So now should be fine. Okay, no to string. So now should work.
Incoming priority message.
Oh, thank you for the following. So now we have it, and we should have here on the job. Of course, it's not going to work because we have to add this model to the model list. So now model, exactly this one, save. Here it is, look. So we cannot edit and delete now because we don't have anything in our controller. But what can we do now to modify this? So we want now to create, when we press create on the job panel over here, on the create button, to be able to create a new job posting. So just a second, job here. When we hit create, we should be able to create one. So edit, delete details will follow soon. So because we don't retrieve anything from the database for the moment now, we will take all this, we'll delete because we don't need that. And first, before all that, we will need now a repository. So I love creating interfaces. So let's create a folder and call it interfaces. Interfaces. And let us create a repository interface class interface, and we call it repository. So how now we create the repository? We need to say here, listen, this class and this primary private how is it called too? So, and now we have to declare that exactly that. It's this auto completion here. It's creating everything for us. So what has to do this? What needs to know this repository? What do we need everything for this from this repository? So it should be a task, and this task, I think it's already doing everything for us. Look at this. Yes, exactly that is what we need. So this task and the class that will be, for example, a job or a category, it says, hey, get by ID async and put the ID. But this over here, that's the small problem, and this will be T2 because, just a second, please. So, and because when we create a new repository, we can say, we can define here, say this one is the job and this one is the integer or a string or however. So that's why also here define, that's why we make T1 and T2. That's the object, like it's an empty object just for reference, so it will replace when needed. So the next one, it's a task, and it will return I enumerable. But if I return an I enumerable, I have to convert it back to a list and so on. That's why I like to write it directly as a list, and I can say that's a list of T1s I will have returned, and this list, wait a second, that's a task of lists like this. So, and then that's get all, so like this. So now I have a method which I will retrieve every uh, every entry of the job posting, all of them. So if there are 100,000 entries, I will retrieve 100,000 job postings. Now I get by ID async. I get all async. That's async 2 because I made a task. So the next one it's I want to create one. So create that's actually task create, and then we will pass p1 because we want to pass the object, the created object, to save it into the database, and it's called model. We pass the model. Then we have update the same way, and now delete. Delete, there are two possibilities how we can delete. The first one is we create a task, delete and it's it's the model. We pass the model and we delete, or we can pass the ID and we delete it by the ID, and that's done. Um, I I don't prefer any of them. But I think with the ID it's fine because we maybe get just the ID. Then to delete we have to retrieve the object we want to delete, and then pass it to the delete method. But if we pass just the ID, we can say, hey, pass the ID, retrieve the one we need and delete it. So, or just go into the database, this one, delete the one with this ID. So it depends on how you want it. I take the ID. So we have now our repository. We just put it on over here, and now we create a new folder. Let me drink something. So we create a new folder and we call it repository. Repositories, because we will have more than just one repository. So now over here we go and say add a new class, and this class we will call it job repository. Very simple, job repository. We are on the left, we go here on the right, put it here on the right, because now we have to take care what we're doing. So we want to implement the iRepository. That's why we created the repository like this. But let's add the using exactly. And now we say, hey, wait a minute. T1 is a class, so we named it job repository. So it's the job, the class we want. Control dot to add the using. Then we say, hey, but the next one, it's not a class, it's an integer. And now we have that, and we can now implement the interface. Look here, it's all here. So now we need a control. We need a constructor. So the shortcut for the constructor is ctor tab, and we have here our constructor. Why do we need a constructor? So every time we want access to the database. We need a constructor to build that, to build this job repository class, and we use now the dependency injection. So we need our database connection, that is the application DB context, application DB context. So you add the using, and we call it just context, and then control dot again to create and assign a field for it. It will be a private read-only field. So now on creation, we can go here and say, hey, this one will be async. Let's make like this var. So how do we save that? We make await, because if we make await, it will add automatically async to we need the context. And if I click over here, I can now check for job. Look, jobs. Here are jobs. Where does it know to add that it's jobs here after the context? In our application DB context over here, this we don't need that. Sometimes create stuff we don't need. So on here, we said, hey, listen, this DB set jobs, it's created, you added here, it's taking over the context. We created a new instance of this class inside the repository over here through the dependency injection. When we start application for first time, when we start application, it will inject, we will add to the services, and it will inject everything into our application at once. Somehow, not somehow, it will add all exactly what we need. So we added now to our context, to our the model job, which is incoming to the create method, but we just added it to the database. So we also need to save the changes. So, and that's done with a create method. To let's make delete at last. To update, it's the same. We need now the context, and we need to update the model, and then we need await.
Incoming priority message.
Hello, thank you. And at next, so we need now again to save changes, also async. I will explain also what it means to save, to make async and await everything. So just for now, we create just this repository. We will make both of them. I will also explain why we use this iRepository, this interface to create. Hello, do you have streaming schedule? Yes, no. I don't have any because I, my job doesn't allow me to stream that much. But from starting with September, I might be able to stream maybe once a week. Yeah, because then changing jobs, and I may be able to stream once, maybe 2 weeks, 2 times a week. So, you have any question? Don't hesitate to ask. So I'm here. Um, the explanation for async and await I will make in a second. Let me just finish this repository. But in the meantime, you can ask anything you want. I might upload this to YouTube, and I also I will provide a GitHub link to the application we do here. So for the moment, we're making a job advert website, and you can, as a user, you can add. Yeah, they're not working right now. I don't have the how I say it. I don't have that installed. YouTube should be. It's the same username, but let me try. Uh, youtube.com/ yeah, I will upload here the whole video, the whole streaming. So because we are, so we made the update because that's an easy one. Um, Also here is the create job. Then let's go to get by ID async. So we are now have to um, so we will use link now to get exactly one object we need. So how we do that? We go now, we create a variable, let's call it model, and equals to await, because we await, so it asynchronously accessing the database. So, and now we get we get into the database and we say we want from the jobs that are in the database, we want one. So, but we also want to include the categories which are in there. Why? Because we want when we, oh sorry, let us bring include, oh here my, so now, so include entity framework, and now we want to include the category. Why? Because when we category exactly like that, like this. So now I have a few questions. I don't want to disturb you. You don't disturb me. Just ask really, and as soon as I see them, I just answer them. So now we want just the first or the default one, but it should be like this. Look, we want the first or default async, but it takes the first one in the database if we take one. But now here with the lambda expression, we can go inside and say, hey, listen, I want the job with the ID that equals the ID it's coming in. I want that you give me exactly that one. And now we can return the model. So what happens? Eh? Oh, it might be null. Okay, if it's null, we can. What do I learn first? C sharp or ASP.NET Core? You learn first C sharp because the ASP.NET Core, it's a framework for C sharp where you can to use. So you learn C sharp, the language itself, because I making now ASP.NET Core, but I need C sharp for it. So what do you do with C sharp? What do you do with ASP.NET Core? You can make APIs, you can make websites, and so on. Yes. So it's the job market for C sharp. It's growing. I myself saw that it's since I started coding in C sharp. I saw how it started growing very much. And I I started to when I went to the boot camp, they started teaching me Java, and I told them, hey, I'm here to learn C sharp. And then I changed everything to C sharp. They all made, yeah, you can post a link. Yes, of course. Yeah, it's a good book. It's a good one. But don't consider, is this a good beginner book? Yeah, I mean, it's, um, I would, it's pretty harsh to get into to to C sharp without knowing anything. I don't know, how much do you know about programming? because just a bit to know about programming would be good. If not, it's not a problem. C sharp, it's a beginner friendly uh, language. It's not a problem. I have learned C++ in college, so you still know C++, right? If yes, don't have to worry. Learning C sharp, it's a good book, and yeah, then you don't have to worry about it. C sharp, it's very object oriented, so it's you can have it as a static too, but it's very object oriented language. Just think about that always while doing. Um, it's it's a nice language. It has a flow which makes easy to write. And do you have any advice for a beginner? Yeah, practice. Do lots of practice, even if you don't like it, and or you think some application are like, oh, I know how to do that. If you don't do them, it won't help you to make progress. So make a few really small projects, uh, really small. I mean, like a calculator, it's a big one. I just make just a few programs like how to create animals, and to that the animals have an animal you create has a method which makes sounds and walk and stuff like that, and proceed with that one and expand them a little bit, and then start making like a calculator, or just like really mini games, mini games. And exactly, start with that book might help you too. So because you know a little bit, you know programming, which helps you now very much. So will be fine. You will be for sure fine. So now I'm here returning a exactly um, uh, um, I'm returning the job with the ID. It's in the parameters, um, and that's getting by ID async. I learned OOP data structure algorithms in college. Then you should not have any problems to to learn. You should really not have. It will be pretty easy for you to do that. So next, we want to delete exactly that model. So let's check here. We have a model, and it's getting um, exactly that. Look at it. We need exactly that one ID, and we make it here async. So why don't you want to do that? Async now. And we don't need to include in delete. Can you make the text bigger? It's too small. Oh yes, of course. Uh, is it better now? Let us make it just a bit more bigger. Yeah, okay. So over here, we now getting the job exactly from the ID. Instead of this, we could make that too. Var model equal model 2 equals await, and now get by ID async. Exactly. We could retrieve the model this way too. So, but it's our repository, so we can. It's one line of repeating. It's pretty fine. So how to delete now? We go to the context. That's the database, and we say jobs remove model, and that's just the removing of it. We also have to save changes. We have await, and then context dot save changes async. So now we have create a model. We have the delete model. We do have get by ID async, and we also have the update mode. Now we have to retrieve all our jobs from the database. How we do that? So we go var a list. We need a list, and we returning a list of jobs like this, but we need to take it out of the there it goes. But now we have a problem. Um, return list. Actually, that would be, but it's not done. Why? Because if we retrieve the jobs and we will get our jobs from the database, the problem is when we want the category of that specific job, there wouldn't be. So we need now to include exactly that, the category. So when it retrieves the the jobs, it also will retrieve each category for everyone. So we will have the connection from the job to the category. So it will say, hey, I have all jobs. Yes, you have, but also the categories. Otherwise, they wouldn't be. That's why also when it's retrieving here the exactly one, we include the category. So our um, we have now our job repository. So this is done. Now we need a second repository because we need to create and categories for each job. So how we do that? Um, we go inside the repository, add new class. So, and we say, hey, this class is called now category repository. So we have now an empty category repository. So on the left side, you can see I have my interface, iRepository, which determines how I have to create my repository. So iRepository dot control, press dot control to open this little interface, and you say add using job advertisement. So uh, now it's displaying me what I how do I have to handle this interface. So here is the category. This means I have to tell him, hey, this class, the first T1 is a category. Let us add the using directive. Then the second one, the IDs I always use, they are int. So there we go. And it's still red underlined because I need to implement the interface. Here it is. And now I have all these methods over there. Same here. How do I do now? That's now exactly the same like before. Oh wait, context. There is no context. So because of that, we have to create a CTOR. That's the constructor. And in the constructor, we need to add application db context. That's our connection context. That's our connection to our database. So using directive, then we assign a field, and now this application DB context, it's half made by the by ASP.NET Core itself, but we also added some stuff. The thing we added are those two lines over here, which we determine how the names of our tables in our database are named and how we use them. So because that's done, we go back to our category repository. We could not use any of the repository, not the iRepository, not the category repository, not the job repository. We could just use application DB context and we're done. But if we do that, then we wouldn't be able to, um, we wouldn't use clean code. We wouldn't could, uh, it would not look that nice actually, and it's more convenient to do it like this way, and also it's more um, if you need something specific, you retrieve exactly that and no more. So that's the thing. Uh, Going back to write code, so await context save changes. Yeah, we need that, and await context dot category dot add async model. So delete. We can now say, hey, listen, we write here var model equals await, and we have a context dot categories categories dot first or default. We have a first or default async. We use entity framework for it, and then we have the lambda expression, which we say, hey, id equals id. So, and now we have the exactly model we need, and we can say context dot remove model, and then we save changes, context dot save changes async. Done. So get all async. We say var list equals await back await context dot categories dot to list async. Here it is. We need here async. So, and then we return the list. So we could do like this. Just to show you that this is possible too, and we don't have to, it's one-liners. So I'm just, you can make it one-liner, you can make it two-liners. If we look here in the job repository over here, all the returns we can make one-liners, those are just two-liners. And now we can return here, let's return a await, and we say context dot categories dot first or default async. We can make x dot id equals id, and it says it might be null, and oh, I can even shorten it, but it's fine like this. Many people don't understand that much shortage. So and here we update, we make it like context dot update categories dot update, and we add a model, and then we say await context dot save changes async. So we have now our our repositories. So perfectly fine. So what do we need now? We need now a category controller. Why? So we have here a job controller. It at the moment it does nothing, because to be able to write some job postings, we need to have some categories. So before that, we do have to add a controller. Let's call this controller. I add empty one. So category, yeah, controller. So we have now an empty controller with anything in it. The index over here will be the controller for displaying all available categories. We need now another public async task action result. We write everything async and await, and we call it create, like this. So, and now we return now the view. So the thing is now we will need to create methods. They both will be named the same, but the second one will have something in its parameter. But the first one, this one, it's the HTTP GET. Why? Because when we go into the when we go to localhost port number and then slash category slash create to create a new category, that's the get method. So we're getting in this method, which will just return the empty view with no model, no anything in it. As soon as we press on the view, the form button to submit, then we return back into the same method, but in the post method. So which then we get the data from the view, and it will be passed to the to our controller. So we need now the HTTP post, and then we say public async, and that's a task of action result, and also a create. So now in here, before we can move forward with this, you see it's still red because it says, hey, we have already one. It's because indeed, even if one is get and the other one is post, they are similar. We have to modify this one to not be similar to this one, but still the same name. How we do that? We need first a view model. We go in here and say, hey, we need the category view model. Category view model. So what does that? We need here a prop for ID, int ID, and it will have just a name, yes, and a description. Exactly like that, and nothing else. So, let's put display names in here. No display names needed. So we have the category view model, and now we go to category controller and say, hey, listen up. I want to bind the view with a name and with a description as a category view model, as a model. And now I want to redirect, I want to return this, because you should so when you an action result has always a return. It returns always something. So it's a return to redirect to action, and it's name of index, because we want to have it back. We want to get back to the index after to the list and display the object we created and with the whole list. So, but now it's all good, but we don't have any. Uh, if I start application now, it doesn't even know how to get in this. It has no view to display. So we go on here and say add view. So again, right mouse click on create and say add view. And we say we don't want empty one. We will create a one to display. So pre-filled view, and it will ask us some questions like, is it a create? Yes, it's a create name. It's getting it from here. The template, that's the pre-fill option. We say, hey, I want to have a create option over here. And the model is this one. We go to get the category view model, and we have our database application over here, the database context. So it knows which database to use and how to make the connection. And I say thank you and add. Now we wait just a second. Over here, you see in our views on the right side, it's just home, job, and shared. Now it will appear a new folder called category from the controller category, and this one, and it will add our create view. When you look here, it's our create view. Our index view here, I didn't even create it now. So easy, we will do that too, but we want to finish the create method right now. So we are over here. So how does it look? We have here, when we go on create, we get into this model, and it says, hey, here's a form with action create. We can make method, we can add method equals post, because we post something, we need to put something in the database. And we go over here, it says, hey, the label, the input name for name, that will be the validation, and that will be this one. But I didn't add it now to here. I will do that too. So when you write more than 450 characters, it says, hey, that's too long. And that's not name over here, it's description, too long. So now we have that. We actually could now create a new. Let's try something. We go to put here over here, and we're gonna check if we have, that's a breakpoint, and we're gonna check now if we bind that correctly. And when we're writing something in our form, we also do get the information we did right. So here it's our application. So because there is, if you write category, that will be this controller over here. And if I just hit enter now, it says, hey, there is no view for the index, because if we write just the controller name, it's automatically directed to index. We don't have any view now at the moment, but what we had a view for create. So inside the category controller, we access the action result create. And now, because it's a get, we're getting now, we get to the view. So this view over here, we're getting over here. So it's not pre-filled, no nothing. So when we hit that, we have here create a category view model. And we can say, hey, let's say the category is IT department, let's say software, the engineer, like this, and the description is create new software like hello world. And now if I press create, we should get into the controller over here, and we should stop in this breakpoint. So let's try. And now we are in the breakpoint. Look, here's the breakpoint, and we send the information from the view now inside the post method. So when we go to the URL category /create, we get into the get method. But as soon as we submit something, we get into the post method, and it's this one. So we bind the view to our method with name and description. Those two must be identically. So if there's misspelled, it won't work. And we bind those two to the model we have here. So when we go inside here, we can see model, and inside the model there is the description, create new software, hello world. The ID is 0 because it's not created anywhere in the database, and the name over here, it's the title, how we say it's software engineer. So now over here we have access to this model, and we can save it in our database. So let's do that. But before we do that, we stop this one and we create a view for the index. Add view, and we say erase a page. It's index because we double clicked it, and we go through the automatic process to edit. We need a template, yes, and we want to display a list of all categories, and we say it's a list. The class, it's let's say it's yes, it's a category view model, and that's the database. Add, and now it's adding a database. So but now when we retrieve a category, it's a model category from the database. And when we send, if you see the view, it's expecting us to get a category view model. So we have to convert that, each category model, to a category view model. So to do that, we do it like this. Let's add here ctor, that's the controller. We add here a iRepository repository of category, not like this, like that, and I say this one, and I say here it's int, and that's the category repo. So interface and models, yes, and now we say create and assign a field, and we have it now. But it won't work, because if we're trying now to access through dependency injection this iRepository, it will say, hey, listen, you've done something wrong. I don't know where to take, I don't know where I initiate this repository. So we need to go to the program CS over here and say, and register the service. Let's go down here for building the app and say, hey, let's make a region, and say repositories. So, and then go here and region and say, hey, builder dot services dot add, what do we do, singleton, transient, or scoped. Let us add scoped, and then we say, listen up, I have an iRepository of category with int, and I want to add the category repository over here, yes, and then close that, and now it's registered. So when you're starting the application, it will go over here and say, oh, I have here something to register. That's a repository. How will be that? What means that? So it creates a new instance of that repository without without needing you to do that. So that will work. And now just copy that and let's register the job too if we're already here. So job and done. Now we have our both repositories registered. Yeah, so move on and save that. For the moment we don't need that. So now when we start application, there is no error. So there is no error. You see? No error. I have to category. So no error. But and now I can, if I return, if I go here var list equals await, and I go into the category repository and say get all async, when you see here, it returns me a list of categories and not, I need to make that task, and it returns a list of categories, not a category view model. But let's make that list. So let's say vm var vm list equals, and now let us use link to do exactly that, list dot, and no, list like this, x new, just 1 second please. So here it's x for lambda new, and category view model, and now like this. Wait, what's the problem here? List, it's not null here. Select, yes, now we have it right. Select, and so what does that mean? And what does it make now? So we retrieve the list of the categories out of the database, and then we take that list and convert it to a category view model. How we do that? Now we can say VM list, it's the view model list, and we take the list and select every entry in that list and say for each entry, create a new category view model. And then the inside, the description is from each one, the description, the name and the description. We also can add the ID like this. So we have the ID, the name, and the description. That's all that we have in this category. And now we can send this list to the view. The view is expecting category view model, and that is exactly what we will send now. Um, for now, we don't create any service that we just have to just make a dependency injection with a service, and then we return exactly what we needed to the method, to the action result. We now write everything for the first in the controllers, and then we will create services to add and to register and make it easier for us to work with. So what we have now, so when we check now again our index, it will be null category, but there will be hopefully no error. You see, it's the name and the description. We send everything over here. If we check the database is empty. View data, it's empty. So let us create a new entry into the database. So we go in here and say, hey, listen up. We take this model and we want to add it to the database. Over here, we create var. Let's call it. Good question. How do we call it? We don't need a new category view model. We need just a model, and we say category equals new category. Exactly. And we say in this category we have the name, and that's the model.name, and we have the description, and that's the model.description. So, and now we can say await, because it's an async method from the category repository, and we say, hey, we want to create, and then we add the category inside here, and then we return back to the index. But wait a second, what if something wrong here? What do we do then? We say do that only if model state is valid. Oh, sorry. Do it only that. Do this only if the model state is valid. What does that mean? That's the validation error. So we need those the maximum length over here, this one, and add it to the view model over here and here. So we add the data annotations over here and say that's the name, and that's 50, and the description. So when you check here, you can see here is the span, which is not it's not displaying, only if the model validation it takes action. So if the text is too long, it will display an error, and also that it's taking here effect. So if something's wrong with the model, it will say, hey, you won't get in here, and then it will be returned to this one. It will if it's right, it will return there. And let's write here something like, if you got so far, something went terrible wrong, and then return view. We return the view with a model, exactly like this. We're passing the model back to the view, and it stayed pre-filled how it was before. So we're done, I think. Let's try to add a new model into the database. So here it is. Let's go to the categories. Here it is. So let's create a new one. You see, it's already working, the link between. Let's say that's a software engineer and having fun, all jobs in all jobs related to software engineering. So, and then we create, pack, and we here. So the edit, delete, details, and delete button won't work now because we don't have any at the moment. But now we have already a new entry as for a category. So we can close that, and to check if it's true, we can go to our database and view data, and here it is. Here is our ID, name, and description. So next, we should go back to our job controller, and say, hey, I can now display all the jobs. I have the index here to display all the jobs. I have now a category where I can choose from on creating, but I cannot create now. So let us create a new job. Let's see how we can do that. What do we need? First, the annotation for HTTP GET. The method is called public. Let's make it async again, task, and then it's an action result of create. So, and now we return view. That's done. That's just to get the form, empty form, to get the empty form to do this. So it's an empty form, which is at the moment fine, but we will have to pre-fill some stuff here so we can have categories to choose from. So to do that, we need now the HTTP post. HTTP post. That's the post method. And we use public async and task again. And also it's an action result. And now again create, because that's from the same method coming back from the same view. It's coming back, but it's the data coming from the view back to us. So how we do that now? We need to bind that exactly like here in our category create method. You see, we need bind and also name and description, and we need a view model that we can use. So we already have a job posting view model, this one. Let us put it on the left side so we can see it. So what do we use here? We need the job title, the job description, a publish day, and the category name. It's the one you use for, but we need to choose from a list of categories. So at the moment we have just one, but let's go back to job controller and say, hey, we need to bind that. To bind to what? And now we can write over here. The first one is the job title. We need to be the same, so exactly same name. So no, if you misspell something, it won't work. So now it's the job description. The next one will be published. The next one is the category ID, because we need the ID from of the category, so you can use that and retrieve it from the database to add it to the model, so we can save it into the database. But now it says we are not finished, and we need to add here the job posting view model as model, incoming model. So over here, let me make this a bit like that, so we have everything inside. So, and this one, if model state is valid, so check if it's valid. At the moment, we don't have any validation for our job posting view model. We will add that to it. So then we say, hey, listen, we need somehow to save that information we're getting from a job posting view model into the database. For that, we need a job, so job, new job, yes. We need the models. And how do we do now? So we go over here and say, hey, show me what's here inside. We have a title equals, okay, the title of a new job is the same as the model's job title, and so on. And let's write everything here. Description equals model dot description, job description, yes. Published equals model dot published. And now, very easy, because in the database of the category, it's not, so the job, it's not just a category. I cannot add an integer to a model like this, like category ID. You see, it's screaming. This one is a category, a model, a class, and this one is just an integer. So what do we have to do now? We go inside here and say, hey, listen, var category equals, and now we need to access the database and retrieve our category by the category ID. How we do that? We need the constructor over here, ctor, and we say, hey, I need access iRepository, repository. We have our repositories, and the one is called category, yes, integer here over here, and we say cat repo, category repository, implement interface, and we assign a field like this. So how do I open all the shortcuts over here? It's control when your mouse, when your cursor is inside somewhere, you can add, you can push control dot, and then you get this little menu, and then you just can add your things you need. So the next one is again iRepository, and this one, it's the job repository. It's also an integer, and then let's call it job repo, like this. And then look now, control dot, and then I can say, hey, create and assign field job repo. I do that, and then it's adding for me everything I need. So now over here on line 33, how to retrieve from the view the category I selected. It's now simpler because we have here await, because the method we use in our repository is await. Here I forgot comma. Now it's right. Await, and the category is of course in the category repository dot, and we get by ID async, and the ID is in model dot category ID, and then here it is. And now we have a category instead of integer, and we can pass over here direct the category, and it's done. And over here we have just the ID, which we don't use now. So the list over here, it's for something else. But let me finish this create method. If model state is valid, we have the correct category, and now we have a job. We now need to add this to the database. How we do that? Await. We need job repo dot create, because we're adding a new one here, and we passing the job we just created. And we don't need to save anything, we don't have to do anything, because in our repository we've created, that should be this one, the job repository here, it says, hey, take this model, add it to the database and save it. So now it's done that, but we need to return. So return, and where? Redirect to action, and the name of the redirection is index, because we want to go to the index where we displayed all the jobs. But still, here is an error. To do that is we make here a small comment and say, if you got here something went terrible wrong, and then return few with the model inside. Why we put the model, this model inside here, if something went terrible wrong? We return the model, so all we pre-filled already, we don't have to write everything again, and we just have to modify the wrong uh, form, what we inserted wrong. So it's saved, it's over here, and we here. But now, when we go to add a new view over here, we might have a problem. Which one is, because when we go to the view and say, I want to choose a specific um, category out of the list, it won't be available. We will have to make some, to modify some stuff. Let me just take a drink here. I mean some water. So now um, we need here to retrieve from the database all our categories. So we can do it like this. Var cut list equals, oh wait, we say category repository and get all async. So, but that's not enough. And inside here, var model equals new model, new category view model, exactly. And inside here, we need, oh no, not category view model, job posting view model, job posting view model. And here is a list. And this list we need to fill with that, with the category list. And we passing this model to the view. Because now exactly that will be filled with all with the information we need. So to do that is, and now we need to create a view. Just right mouse click on create, add view, and now we say we need a razor view, and then it's already created here. Which template we use? The create template, and we need the job posting view model, because when you look over here, it says create, we getting from the view a job posting view model. And then we go inside here and say, hey, from with the information of the job posting view model, we getting here a job information, and that is what we post, we save in our database. And also here we can send directly to our view, we can send the list and for the drop down to display all available categories for each post. So for the posts we want to choose. So add, and now we're creating a new create form. Here we are. So that's okay. Here we are. We create. We need to add here method. It's post because we post something to our view, and that's the job title. That's the job description. But now over here, no, that's publish. But now over here, that's the category ID. But we have to input now a ID for that, but I don't want that. So what we are going to do, we change this input to select. We make it we don't make it self-closed. We close it by ourselves like this. So it's ISP4. It's the 4 category ID, which is okay like this because we need the ID from that list, not a name. And then we can go over here and make an ISP item. And we can say over here, a new list, a new select list should be here, exactly. And where do we get that from? How can we pre-fill this list? We have inside this job posting view model over here, we have a job controller. Yes, and we send this list inside our view model. So let us go to back over here and say model dot, and here is our list that we already pre-filled. And now save that, and let us check if we done something. So over here, we can go over here, category. There should be no categories. Oh, something went wrong. And that's sometimes when we create new view models or something, it will be automatically added here. You see this one. I hate that. Don't know how to stop it. It wanted me to add a new migration and update the database, but now it should work fine. So here we are. Let's go to category. Now should be working. Yeah, you see we have a new entry over here. No, I think we should go to jobs, right? Yeah, job. Here it is. That's empty, but we need job create. Let's do it again. Let's create job posting. Yes. Sorry, my mistake now. So we go to job, and then create. Now should work fine. Now you see, here we can choose a date. We can pre-fill it with right now, but we will do it over. And here it's something went terrible wrong. You see? Let us check what it is. So oh, I forgot, of course. So my mistake. Over here, you add ID, and because we need ID, and the name. Here is how is it called? The list. It's just name, I think, right? Category is just name. Yes, just name. So should work now. Let's try it again. Yes, I have GitHub. I will, as soon as I finish over here, I will post. Look, you can check github.com/here. You will find the project. Now over here, job and create here down here. So you see now it's software engineer. If we will add now a new category, let's create a new category. Let's name it IT department. Create new hello world. Create. So now we have two. How you can see over here, we have two categories, and we can go to job and create. We can choose now between the two. So, but I want to change this publish day to another date. On today, to be today. So, how we do that? We go to job controller and say, hey, here, the date I want to be pre-filled. It's it's over here. So it's published equals date time now. Very simple. And now when we start the app again, and we go to job, create, it's already pre-filled with the date and time of right now. And we can choose from the category, and we have the job title and the job description. We come back to list. There is no list because there is empty. We didn't make anything for the indexing, for displaying, but let us do that right now. So it's all fine. And here for indexing, let's make this async task. And now we say here var model equals new job posting view model. That's wrong. Why? Because that's not a job posting view model. It will be where is job advert? No, it's not that. It's job. This one, it will be enumerable, so it will be many job postings view models. So we need to retrieve them. So how we do that? So it's var list equals await, and then we retrieve all job postings dot get all async. Very simple. Wait a second, but we don't send job, we send job posting. So var vm list equals, we have the list dot select. We have to do it like we done it before, and then we use lambda expression to select and say new job posting view model, and then here for each one we have an ID equals ID, exactly. Then we have a job title, which is the x.job title, and then we have job description, equals x.description, and then we have published equals x.published. And now we also have the category. Let's say what it says here, category ID equals, and now because in the job repository we added already category, we can just say the ID over here. You see that? And then it's displaying the right ID. And we take this VM list and we pass it to the view, save it, and now when we start our application, we say category, no, job. The categories are fine, job. We have here the list of the jobs. We can change this here to display the name of the category. We need to modify a little bit our view model, but that's no problem. We can create now a new job title. Let's say C# dev. Then the job description, create and maintain our software. The published is today, it's software engineer, and then create. And we have a problem. So where is the problem? Argument null exception value cannot be null in parent items. So when we press create, okay, let us check what's the problem. So let us put over here a breakpoint and do that again. This job create here. And we got here in here. So where's the problem? So category list, we have the category 1, that's fine. List, it's null. The job description is fine. Job title is fine. Published is fine. So where is the problem? When we return back to create, we do not pass its indexing. Why it's wrong? Continue. What's your problem? So, it's redirecting to index. It's index. So we're getting here. So let's see what's the problem. When we go back, when we create, we're getting, is it saved? Nope, it's nothing saved. So when we get in here, we have everything passed right. We save that, okay. And then we redirect to index. Maybe I might have the problem. Here is not, it's just model dot. No, it's correct. Category ID. But it's one, right? Let's see again. Let's search for the problem. So job create. Let's take this one to create. So in here should be number 2, 4. It is category ID. So when we go over here, step by step, it's model state, it's not, we have now the problem. Model state is not valid. Why? Check over here. Because I understand. Now should be fine. Save. Only in the models are the problem. Job create. we're getting here, we go over, and it's also checking for validation if model state is valid, but it's false. Why is this false? I don't get it. So why its model state is valid? I did, okay. And now, try again. Maybe I need to add the ID. I can't remember anymore. Why? Same problem. Huh. Okay, let us just for now remove the if and comment this out just to test. And let us put software engineer, and it's done. Yeah, I will check what was the problem with that. So we have now a new job. We cannot edit, we cannot delete, and we cannot see the details for the moment. So done. So every time when we create a new job and we return it, we return to the index over here. So let me create a GitHub repository, like this, like that. Job advert, it's not private, job advert tab. So lessons template none, ignore, and create and push. Right. So at novel path, let me check Git repository window. Oh, okay, now let me check my repositories over here. And we have it repositories, and here it is, job advert. Here is for you the GitHub repository. So thank you. That will be for today. Maybe this week I will return. Thank you very much, and thank you for the follows, and see you next time.